Sometimes as I run, a random thought suddenly pops into my head without any prompt. Where are you going? Why are you running? Who even is running? Maybe these are important questions, or maybe isolation is just getting to me. But why don't you stop and consider for a second? Here we are, on a floating rock, kept alive by a flaming ball in space, and surrounded by billions upon billions of other people. And not a single one really knows what we're doing here. When we look around our world, especially recently, the only thing certain is uncertainty. The world our grandparents, parents, and even older siblings knew is much different now. Yet, our class is certainly different as well. We've gone through this time together, and because of that, we've learned to lean on and trust in one another. We are more connected than most, and because of that, together we will leave our mark on the world. Let's pause for a moment and take a trip back to London in the year 1606. The bubonic plague was having an outbreak at the time and ended up killing almost a quarter of London's population. Just like us, thousands of people went into isolation to protect themselves from the disease. One of those in isolation was William Shakespeare, who apparently wrote several plays, including Macbeth at the time, and greatly improved his style. In 1665, another plague forced a young man to move out of London and live on his family's farm. There, he happened to be looking at apple trees when he came up with the theory of gravity, forever changing the world. And that's just a few examples. One has to wonder which person in this room has had an idea in this time that will go on to change the world. Yet, sometimes it is easy to overthink, to get lost. It's easy to drift through life without even grabbing the steering wheel. During quarantine, you may have felt that time was passing through you rather than you passing through time, just as I have. Now, we can't settle for mediocrity. We can't settle for the status quo. Going with the flow is playing the game of life with someone else's rules. We need to find our own rules, and that's what this time of exploration is for. We ought to search for a guiding light in our life, something that gives us the most meaning, something that can't be taken away no matter the circumstances, a North Star, if you will. Life is a journey, and you never know where the destination is. The winding path of life can take us any which way, and we have certainly taken a detour recently. But having a star to look up at and remind the general place you want to go, what you hope to accomplish, is a beautiful guide. In the end, senior year didn't go quite how we expected, but it still represents the same thing, a setting off point. From here on out, our world is what we make of it, and our star is our guide, rather than rules that we had set before us before. We can't control many things in this world. We can't control what other people think or do, what we are presented with, or even the illness assailing our world. But what we can control is what we make of it, and what we do. As we set out, let's remember that fact.